How's it going, Blazers? Working to bring you specifications you can relate to so you can have an educated decision on your purchases. We're going to be going into a few things, and we do have also the best new knife reviewer, Nick Shabazz, is putting that on, so as far as that contest. So check out the playlist down below, because there's some channels that I didn't know about, and great ones out there, so check that out. For this one is going to be a rehash of an initial impression video on the Kershaw Matrix in copper. So this is one that I had issues with. If you went back to the previous video, I lost all detent on this. So the way that it was, I tried to actually have it where I had an even patina on the blade itself, or on the handle scale. So I went and removed the pocket clip, and in doing that, it actually was allowing the subframe lock to actually move. So when it was closing down, I actually lost all detent, and then you can actually click it back into place. It would work again. So I did end up exchanging it, and then the one I got back in is not having that issue. So this is the one I added some of the finishes to. So as far as kind of this faux hammer finish, or I don't know really what I'm calling it, but that is what I added to it. I thought it went pretty well, just leaving the flats kind of how they were, and then just adding in this type of texturing. So it plays with the light quite well as well for this knife. But this one is going to be in D2, so that's something different than some of the other blades out there. D2 is fairly decent, but it does have its drawbacks, so that's going to be the corrosion resistant side of things. So out of the other blade steels, it's going to be probably about the 10th percentile for corrosion resistance, hardness about 75th, and then for edge retention, that's looking at all the other blade steels all the way up to like the super high-end ones. It's going to be about a 50th percentile for a D2. So that is with proper hardness and everything else. So we'll get to that at the end of the video as far as what this tested out at for the Rockwell testing. Is this also D2 as far as the testing that like LTK sent one of his over. So we do have the results for that as we're coming up. We're going to look at some of the ones here. This is one that I just picked up from Gerber. There's a pocket square. So this one had a little bit of issues with the lock bar tension, so I did have to change that a little bit. This is also another copper knife. This is the one from CRKT. There's a squid. There's only 500 of those made. And then we do have the Delica. One with amazing action. It's going to be the Kaiser Dukes. And then we have my mini Kryptonian for size. So those are all the ones there. Now for the hand sizing, so in looking at this one, so you can print out the chart. It is to scale, so you can verify that. But normally, now at least for myself, I hold a knife in this fashion. So that's why when you look at the charts or the printout, it's going to be having it in this this manner. So you can kind of lay it down, see where this is going to fit in your hand. So we're going to start with the adult female hand, and then we're going to go on to the other sizing for the adult male, so you can actually see how this is going to be. So it is kind of a bit smaller, so it doesn't actually reach the end of my hand here, and then it's barely just getting that fourth finger. But that's going to be, I guess, the fifth finger, 5 fingers. I guess you can call that a thumb. So 4 fingers, thumb, yeah, either way. But that's going to be how that one will fit for you. And this one is one that also we're going to look at the Lyman pull gauge. For it, it's going to be about 2 to 3 pounds. It's normally a pretty good amount of weight for it. So this is what I've been using to get that measurement, so you guys know what it is. So other than saying as far as saying it's a heavy, light detent, I'll just show you what the detent is for the knife. So it's going to be in pounds. Get on that flipper tab. So 1 pound, 12 ounces. For it, so still a little bit of a light, almost to that baseline for it. I did actually add a little bit of a ramp for the detent ball, which is a little bit of a modification. So there's quite a few different modifications I did to this one. So I did add the ramp for the detent ball, so I can actually sit my finger on the actual subframe lock and still open it, because a lot of the knives, you even touch it, you breathe on it, then it's kind of locked in, you can't do anything with it. So that was one thing I added as far as that ramp. Also enlarged the release area, so I can actually get to that release a little bit easier. So it took that scale down slightly. And of course, the finish here added on to that. And then I think that was about all for those. So those are all the different modifications that were done for the knife. This one is about 3.7 ounces. I got a 3.2 as far as a measurement for it. For the actual action, it's going to be now just a light switch for it. You're not going to be push buttoning it. You do have kind of these little fullers here that you can use it to flick out as well. Thumb's a little bit more difficult to get, and I don't know if nope. So middle finger, thumb not too much for that one, as far as being able to open it that way. And then you also do have, for current pricing, if you can get it, all the places that I looked, they are still on back order or pre-order. So Blade HQ had it for $59.99, MSRP is $94.49, and this is about 2.75 inches for the blade, flat ground. And then you can also see for this one, as far as the sharpness for it, this one came out to be in a new high-end cutlery area, so about 267 grams for that cut test for it. But it does, I got to sharpen it a little bit because it doesn't cut very well for it. So I'm not really happy with the edge that's on there right now, which is still the factory edge. This one is right hand tip up or left hand tip up, and again with the detent change. And then there's something that other people were having as well. One of the viewers was actually saying that maybe you could actually take, since there's four screws here, when you actually take this off to move it to the other side for the left hand tip up, maybe move one of these screws from the lower end to the upper end, which actually seems like a really good idea. I'm a little gun shy about doing that because it's working now, and I don't want to do that and then have to start all over again as far as it's not working again. So I'm just leaving it as. If you get one in and you want to do that, give it a shot, let me know in the comments down below as far as what you think, what you found for it, and if that worked for you for the knife. So those are basic things about it. And really, it's one I waited for, I guess everybody waited for just about a year for this. So some of the things that I don't like about it is the inconsistency on the way that it patinas. So I mean, that's even the difference between this one here for the CRKT and then the Kershaw. I've actually handled the Kershaw more than the CRKT, and I think this one actually is getting a little bit better coloring than this one is. And that was one of the things that were the holdup for Kershaw, was that they're trying to get the manufacturing side to understand that, well, we want it to patina, we want it to have that copper coloring, and then they weren't really understanding that on the other end. So that was some of the holdup with manufacturing for this knife here. So we'll see how that goes for the next iterations that come out, and if they actually work on fixing any of those issues at all, because any communication that I had with them, I didn't get any responses. So if anybody else got any responses, wonderful, but I did not in reaching out to them through email or social media. But this one, so going to the Rockwell, so for D2, this one came in at 59.8 for Rockwell, not this specific one, but the one that LTK had. So if you look in the description, there is a link to all the Rockwell testing and as well as steel testing that's being done. So there's a few different channels in there. Check it out as far as those go. It's in alphabetical order by manufacturer, and you can kind of see maybe which ones to maybe avoid as far as the manufacturers, because they're not being reputable with what they're providing, and then some of the other ones that are providing a good product. And then we'll kind of see how it goes, because it seems to be catching on. And then also some of the manufacturers are actually seeing what the testing is being done and making some adjustments to be able to provide the proper hardness for the blades. So that is a wonderful thing for that. Do appreciate everybody that's participating in it. It's a great thing for the community to have those data points so we can actually know basically what we're getting, because this wasn't really available to us before we had the testing being done. So this one, borrow or avoid for this one here, unless they get some things corrected for it. If you still love it, I'm sure it's going to come back out, but it's going to be a little bit, and I don't know if they're going to fix the issues or not. So let me know in the comments down below as far as what you think. Do appreciate it, and thank you for your time.